What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today we are tearing the axles out of the WJ so that we can put all of these goodies behind me into those axles, and we're going to pull the transmission pan on the 42RE that's currently in it and find out what little goodies may lie at the bottom of that. And you can see all the metal in here. There's another big piece. If you want to find out what we're stuffing into these axles, you won't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Alright, so today it's time to pull these axles out from underneath the Jeep. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you checking this out. We have a 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee that has gotten a 1-ton axle swap. There's a lot of videos on the entire build process and everything else, but it's time to upgrade those axles. So we're running a Dana 60 up front, and we're running a GM corporate 14 bolt in the rear. So as a quick reference to some of the previous videos, both axles currently are running 410 gears. The rear factory limited slip is still installed in the GM 14 bolt. One of the things that I've noticed, and honestly one of the things that we're going to look at with the oil pan today and the 42RE, is that turning 37-inch tires has probably put quite a strain on the transmission with only running 410 gears. It finds itself in overdrive or kicking the overdrive off when you're at high road speeds. So the transmission's been toast since I was down at King of the Hammers and running back and forth between where I was staying and the venue. So we're gonna get the transmission out, we're gonna get a new transmission in, but we're also gonna upgrade the axles. We needed to put lockers in them anyways, and really we wanted to see how long the gears would last. What that did do, having 410 gears and running 37s, was just, like I said, put a lot of strain on the transmission, and ultimately that's what took the transmission out. Now, I don't know exactly what's wrong with the transmission, and we're gonna pull the oil pan to see today, but what I think I'm gonna find in the bottom of it is chunks of a big C-clip that goes to the overdrive housing in the back of the transmission, which is what I've heard is kind of the weak point, especially when it's kind of high revved and it's shifting hard and aggressively, and that's really what this thing was doing, trying to push 37-inch tires with 410 gears. So went with 538s on this, partially because it'll easily push the 37s, but also because at some point we may want to make some upgrades to 40s or 42s. Not that that's going to happen right away, but we're planning ahead for that. And also, with a 4-liter engine in this, it doesn't have a ton of horsepower. We want to make sure that we're providing a little bit of extra turning power to the wheels, and that's going to do that with 538. So we have a load of goodies from Yukon Gear and Axle. Super excited to get this stuff in, but first, let's get these axles out. Let's pull that transmission pan and find out what we got going on. There we go. See, a lot of tension on that thing. There we go. Good job, buddy. Alright, so we've got the axles pulled out of this thing, popped off the diff covers, drained all the fluids out of them, cleaned up the surface area where we're going to have a new gasket going on them. Everything looks good to me. I don't see any metal shavings, anything like that in it. The gears are all good to go. Axle shafts themselves look good to go, so we're all set to get this stuff in. We're going to do that tomorrow. I got a friend coming over to help me out a little bit. It takes a little bit of time to set the pinion depth on a Dana 60 in particular. From my understanding, the 14 bolt isn't too hard, but making sure that you're set up the right way on the Dana 60 can sometimes take a little bit of time. And since I've never set up my own gears entirely on my own, got a buddy coming over to help me out, and we'll see if we can make quick work of it rather than me spending a couple of days doing it. Let me tell you a little bit about what we have going on these axles. Alright, so one of the things that you can see on this 14 bolt is that we still have a strap style yoke, and that's one thing that we don't want. It's not terrible, and we've obviously been running it, but we also haven't done a ton of aggressive wheeling. While we're setting up gears, one of the things we want to do is swap out that strap style yoke for a U-bolt style. Now fortunately, the Dana 60 front already has that. We hit up the guys at Busted Knuckle, and that's where we got the ones actually for the 14 bolts we're running on the Durango as well. They have the U-bolt style yoke. This is a 1410, and that's what we're going to be running. So we're going to put that on this as we get the pinion situated. The other thing that we got from the guys at Busted Knuckle is this awesome pinion guard. So this is going to actually bolt on to the 14 bolt, and then it's going to tie into the truss on the top. So that's one of the things that we're going to do today. We're going to get that bolted in and welded on so that we've got that all situated and ready to go for the install this weekend. But we want to make sure that we've got everything set up and ready to go. Super excited. This should add a lot of strength and rigidity for the rear, and really it's one of the reasons that I picked the 14 bolt. As you can see on the 14 bolt, it's got these bolts where your pinion goes in, and the benefit of that is that you can run a pinion guard. So the ones I've got running on the 14 bolts front and rear for the Durango are these guards from Rough Stuff. Dude, this fly is driving me crazy. The pinion guard is a huge help. You know, when you're dragging your axles over rocks, things like that, banging them off things, it just helps guard against breakage down there. Dana 60 doesn't have that option, but it's fine. It's a heavy duty axle and I'm not too concerned about it in the WJ. But since it's an option, we want to make sure we add it to the 14 bolt in the rear. But what the Dana 60 is getting is this. So I hit up Josiah at Beyond Precise. He's got this awesome weld-on kit. This kit will get welded onto the front knuckles for the Dana 60. What this is going to do is help realign the steering. It's going to push out the tie rod a little bit and then allow the drag link to tie in at a better height to the pitman arm. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to redo the steering entirely. I've used a clamp on the tie rod to this point. We're going to weld a bracket directly onto the tie rod, and then we're going to mount hydraulic assist steering, and that ram is going to be relocated from the position where the steering stabilizer currently is. So this is the steering stabilizer that came off of it, and it is a little hard to tell on camera. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we spin it a little bit. There we go. I mean, I don't know if it's hard to tell or not. This thing has been dumping fluid. It is bent hard in one direction. And I don't think I bounced that off of anything in particular. It doesn't have any dents or dings to show that I have. I think that is literally the force from turning it with the power steering box. So in order to get the steering set up properly, we have some reconfiguration to do. While we've got the axles out, I'm going to strip off the brakes from the knuckles. We're going to get good access to where we need to weld all this in. This is what the finished product looks like. And once we have that done, we will reconnect all the steering, and then we're going to mark our box, and then we're going to ship that off to How Performance. And the guys down there are going to give us a hand in making sure that we have the right setup inside of that gearbox, and then all of the components that need to come along for the Hydro Assist setup. Now, I was thinking about this earlier too, and I don't think I could have run my power steering setup for much longer anyways. Not only is it toast at this point, but even if I had swapped in the new box that I have, it's not going to last very long, and it's going to be a pain to drive with lockers in the front, particularly a non-selectable locker like the Grizzly locker. While it's beefy and super capable and proven, if you're in a tight situation and tight cornering and you need the traction, you don't have the option of turning it off. It's always going to work when it needs to, which is not an issue. It just creates a little bit harder of a steering situation. So having the Hydro Assist is really going to help with all of our steering in general, and then we're going to make sure we set up the geometry properly. I had a long conversation with Jeff Howe from How Performance when we were down at King of the Hammers. Super knowledgeable guy. He's been doing this for years, and just really appreciate his feedback and assistance in getting this stuff set up the right way. So that's our goal. Over the next couple of days, I'm going to get the rest of these axles set up the way that they need to be. Tomorrow we're going to get gears all situated. So we've got a couple more tasks to finish up today. I'm going to get the pinion guard on the 14 bolt. We're going to get kind of everything prepped and ready to go so that tomorrow we can get gears in. So let's get that pinion guard on and make this happen. Alright, so this is fresh off the plas cutter and the grinder, but I just want to show you real quick what I'm doing. It's a little warm. So we use an Artec truss when we initially set up the 14 bolt, which is awesome. I love this truss. It's been great. However, this is an afterthought in terms of adding the pinion guard from Busted Knuckle to this. So I played around with a couple of different things. I trimmed this piece down a little bit. I tried to get it to line up with the top lip here, but unfortunately pulling it upwards to the height of the Artec truss just makes the angle of the bolts too far off, and my concern would be that if I pried it up, which I mean I can pull it up pretty good. I can't do it with one hand while I'm holding the camera, but I could get it up there pretty good. The problem is that I think that these bolts will have an incredibly hard time coming in and going out again if I do that, and this is like 3/8 thick. So fortunately for me, I had a bunch of 3/8 laying around and was able just to cut this out. So this is my solution to it. I'm going to bridge that gap, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie this directly into the top of the truss. You get it totally sitting on there. There we go. So we've got some really nice weldable surfaces. We'll run a bead along the inside. We'll run a bead along the top of the truss here, and just get it all tied in that way. It's still going to be, you know, really significant in assisting. Again, you know, this is kind of the on-road rig slash wheeler. So honestly, this is beefier than what I even have set up on the Durango right now. But You know, I want to make this work. I thought, you know, the other thing I can do is just chop this top piece off. I really am only looking to have the pinion guard. I don't really need the stiffener that much, but it came with the stiffener, and what I'd like to do is tie it in if I can, so that's what we're gonna do. We got this 3/8 plate. We've cut it out the right length. It looks really good there. I think it's set up properly. We are gonna get that thing blazed in, and this thing should be good to go. So let's get that done. Alright guys, so here's the final product. This top weld gave me a little bit of an issue at first. I probably should have pulled off more paint from the top, but I ground it down. But we got good penetration. There's good coloration all through that, so that looks good to go. And it's set up on there nicely. I like it. Alright, so that's a wrap for today. We got the axles off. We checked out what we had going on inside the oil pan there for the transmission. Alright, so just pulled the pan out from the transmission under the Jeep, and exactly what I thought was going to be the deal is the deal. And this thing is marked up pretty good. You can see there at the end, this is the clip. I would assume it's the clip from the overdrive unit in the back. But we got that mark there and that one there, and it's obviously in many pieces, and man, it is bent up. So that's the biggest piece. That's what I expected with this one. Probably still gonna tear this transmission down, and I haven't rebuilt one before, so we might give that a shot and rebuild it. But for now, we've got this other one over here. Gonna get the pan off that one too, make sure it's all good to go, and get that thing in. That'll be the next task after we get these axles tackled. But tomorrow, that's our plan. We're gonna get the gears, the lockers, new diff covers. Let's make it happen. I appreciate you guys watching. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share your comments down below, provide me some feedback. I'm always into hearing what you guys have going on, what you think of what I have going on, and what you'd like to see next. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you the next time.